Hey, I'm going to do another YouTube video, and this is going to be on mean, median, mode, quartiles, and the standard deviation. Okay, so this is a word problem. Okay, a mean average of 80, or a mean of 80 or greater is required for 5 exams. To get a grade of B. Okay, in a class. Okay, Joyce's first 4 exams are 73, 69, 85, and 80. What grade must Joyce receive to get a B in the course? Okay, now her scores are 73, 69, 83, and 80, and she wants a grade of B, so she has to have an 80 average. Okay, to find the average of a set of numbers, you had to add all those up and divide by how many numbers. So we'll let X be the 5th grade, and you divide that by 5, and that has to be an 80%. Okay, or an 80. So 73 plus 69 plus 83 plus 80 is 305. And then you have to solve this for x, so we can multiply both sides by 5. Okay, so that's 305 plus x over 5 equals 80. Multiply this side by 5, the 5's cancel, multiply the other side by 5. So 305 plus x is 80 times 5 is 400. So x is 400 minus 305. And so the grade on test 5, it has to be a 95 or higher to get a B. So unless this person's a real good student in this class, they probably aren't going to get a B. Okay, this is weekly salaries. Here are weekly salaries of a construction company. Now, I think I told everybody on the discussion board that I plan to have a Zoom session tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So I hope you all read your messages. Now, some of you I have not heard from since before spring break. So I don't know what's going on with some students in this class. Okay. Now, this is the data you're given for this instruction company. Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about quartiles. Okay, when you divide data into 4 equal parts, you have what's called quartiles. So let's say that you have 60, 80, 90, 100, 105, 120. Okay, now to find the median of that set of data, we have to have a numerical order, which they're in numerical order. So what's the middle number? Okay, it'll be these two added together, divided by 2. 190 divided by 2 is 95. So that divides this data into 2 equal parts. You have this side and that side. Now to find the quartiles of this, you've got to find the middle number for this set of data. So 80 is going to be called Q1. And Q3 is 105. And this is the median, or they don't really say Q2, they just say the median. So Q1's 80, Q3's 105, and the median's 95. So you have to put them in numerical order. Okay, so that's what quartiles are. Now, for this construction company, let's say the mean salary is 600. Okay, the average salary. The median salary is 500. The mode is 500. And the first quartile is 560. Third quartile is 625. Okay, so they ask you questions here based on this data. Okay, A, what is the most common salary? Okay, that's the mode. The mode's the number occurs the most often, which is $580. Okay, that's the mode. And part B, what percent of employees surpassed $625. Okay, so you have the mean. The first quartile is $560, and the median is $590, and then the third quartile is $625. Okay, so this is the median. So this is like 50% of the data is here, 50% is there. And then this is about 1/4 or 25% lie here, and 25% is here. So they ask you what percent of the data passed up 625. It would be 25%. Well, that's part B. A was the most common salad, which is the mean. Now we're going to talk about measures of dispersion, or the standard deviation. Standard deviation. Okay, so you've got, suppose you have 7, 9, 11, 13, 18, and 12. Those are our numbers. Okay, you want to find the standard deviation. Now your first step is to find the mean of that set of numbers. And to find the mean, you add up all those numbers, divide it by 6. Okay, because it's 6 numbers. Now if there's 5, you add them all up and divide it by 5. 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13 plus 18 plus 12 divided by 6. Okay, it'll be 11.66. And I always tell everybody, whenever you do the standard deviation for the mean, always round off the mean to the nearest whole number. So this is 12. The mean is 12. Okay. Now, it's not incorrect if you don't round it off to the nearest whole number. In fact, it's probably more correct if you don't. But if you do not round it, it makes it so much more difficult to work and so much harder to grade. So I would strongly suggest you round. But if you do not round it, it will not be kind of wrong as long as your procedure's right. But you're going to end up with a lot of messy decimals and problems, numbers to work with if you don't round. Okay, so you have 7, 9, 11, 15, 18, and 12. And then if you add all that up, I said the average was 12, so you have to subtract 12 from every number. Seven minus 12 is negative 5. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. 11 minus 12 is negative 1. 15 minus 12 is 3. 8 minus 12 is 6. 12 minus 12 is 0. Now you square those numbers. So you have 25, 9, 1, 9, 36, and 0. Then you add all those numbers up. 25 plus 9 plus 1 plus 9 plus 36. And you get 80. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. You get 80. And you divide this by n minus 1. N is 6, which represents how many numbers you've got. You divide it by one less the number of numbers, so it'll be 5. 80 divided by 5. What's 80 divided by 5? 16. And your final step is find the square root of 16, that number, which is 4. So your standard deviation is 4. So your first step is find the mean. The second step is subtract the mean from each number. And then after you subtract the mean from each number, you square those numbers. Then you add up the squares, and then you divide it by n minus 1, and then you take the square root. Okay, so that's called the standard deviation. Okay, so let's say you have 60, 58, 62, 67, 48, 51, 72, 70. Okay, our first step is to find the mean. And the mean is the average of those set of numbers. Okay, so you have 60 plus 58 plus 62 plus 67 plus 48 plus 51 plus 72 plus 70 divided by 2, 4, 6. You have 2, 4, 6, 8. So it will be 488 divided by 8. Okay. If I were you, I'll go back and double check and do this a couple times just to make sure you get the right answer. 48 divided by 8 is 61. So you get the mean is 61. So you have 60, 58, 62, 62, 48, 51, 72, 70. And we found 61 to be the mean, so subtract 61 from every number. Okay, 60 minus 61 is negative 1. 58 minus 61 is negative 3. 62 minus 61 is 1. 62 minus 61 is 1. 48 minus 61 is negative 13. 51 minus 61 is negative 10. 72 minus 61 is 11. 70 minus 61 is 9. And then you square those numbers. Okay, negative 1 squared is 1, negative 3 squared is 9, 1 squared is 1, 1 squared is 1, negative 13 times negative 13 is 169, negative 10 squared is 100, and 11 squared is 121, 9 squared is 81. And add those numbers up, 1 plus 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus 169 plus 100 plus 121 plus 81. I get 483, and you divide that by, how many numbers do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So divide this by 7, because there's always one less than the number of numbers. 483 divided by 7 is 69. And the final step is find the square root of 69. Okay, you get 8.3 is a standard deviation. Now sometimes on tests they'll ask you to round that answer off to the nearest whole number. Sometimes they'll ask you to round to the nearest tenth, sometimes the nearest hundredth. But if the nearest hundredth, there'll be 8.31. So if I don't say round to whatever, it doesn't, I'll probably give you full credit for your answer. And if you don't round it off, then I might just take off a point. Okay, so it would probably be about a 10-point problem on a test, standard deviation. This is something I've never put on an online test before. I haven't taught online classes before. So I normally ask everybody to write out each individual step on the standard deviation on a test. So on this test online, although it's online, I'll ask you to list each individual step, and there is no symbol on, I think there might be a symbol there for a square root, I don't know, when you type in your email. I mean, type it on the computer. I'll have to look and see. But anyway, you do the square root at the very end. Okay? So I'd like you to include each step. If you don't, then I'll take off points if you just give me your answer. Now let's say you have 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, and 136. And we want to find the standard deviation. So you add all those numbers up. And you get 931. And you divide that by 7 because you have 7 numbers. Okay? Now, at the end, that's where you divide by n minus 1. At the beginning, when you find the mean, just divide by the number of numbers. And I get 133 is the mean. So we have 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, and then subtract 133 from each number. (130 minus 133 is negative 3. 131 minus 133 is negative 2. 132 minus 133 is negative 1. 133 minus 133 is 0. 144 minus 133 is 1. 135 minus 133 is 2. And 136 minus 133 is 3. And you square those numbers. If you square them, you get 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, and 9. Now, if you add all those up, 9 plus 4 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 plus 9 is what? Is 28 divided by 6. 28 divided by 6. You divide it by n minus 1. You get 4.666. And then you find the square root of 4.666. .16 is your answer. Okay, so the standard deviation, when you do a standard deviation of a set of data, it tells you how far the data is spread out from the mean. So you get a small number, that means the data is pretty well clustered around the mean. In that case, that's what this case is. If it's a big number, like a 2-digit number, then it's all spread out from the mean. And they do use standard deviations to do something called z-scores, which they don't want me to teach z-scores in Math 121. But Z-scores can be used to like scale grades in a class where you have a large number of students. Well, it might be able to be done in a small group of students. I don't know. I normally have never used Z-scores to scale grades. But anyway, that's one thing you could do with Z-scores, or Z-scores are used in other ways too. But we don't teach Z-scores in this course. Now, let's say you have 60, 58, 62, 67, 48, 54, 72, and 70. Okay, the smallest number they have there, I think, is 48. So we have to put these in numerical order. 48, and then what? 54, then 58, 60, 62, 67, 70, and 72. Okay, so let's find the middle number. You have this number, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So it'll be these two added together divided by 2, which will be 61. 61 is the median. Okay, and now that will divide, you have the data into two equal parts. You have this part half and this half. Now what is the median of this set of data? It'll be these two added together divided by 2. 54 plus 58 divided by 2. It's 56. So Q1 is 56. And then you add these two, those four added together. The middle, the medians, the mean of these two numbers. 67 plus 70 divided by 2 is 60.5. Okay, so the median is 61, Q1 is 56, Q3 is 60.5. And that means 1/4 of the data lies below Q1. 1/4 of the data lies above 60.3. And 1/2 of the data lies above the median, and half the data lies below. Okay, so you always have to put them in a numerical order. If you don't, you could get the wrong answer. If it's already in numerical order, you don't need to worry about that. That's called ranking the data. Put them in numerical order. And another topic is called the range. The range is the highest number minus the lowest number. Now, normally in a class, I will give you some data and ask you to find the standard deviation and the quartiles on your own, and that will take up a good 10, 15, 20 minutes in a class. But I guess you could go home and practice some of this yourselves, okay? Or you're already home. Go ahead and practice it on your own, finding the standard deviation and the quartiles of a set of data. So if we have 38, 43, 26, 80, 55, 34, 40, 35, 43. Okay, now the range is the highest number minus the lowest. Okay, our largest number, I think, is 80, right? 80 is the biggest number. Now, what's the smallest? 26. 80 minus 26 will be the range. Which is 54. So that's called the range. So you need to remember some of these terms because on the final at the end, those are the kinds of questions that's asked a lot of times. Okay, which I don't know for sure if we're going to have a final in this class. So, all right, now let's say you have this data: 38, 43, 26, 80, 55, 34, 40, 40, 35, and 43. Okay, and you've got to find the average of that set of data. The average is, you add them all up and divide them by how many numbers. You have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 numbers. So you add all those numbers up divided by 10. 38 plus 43 plus 26 plus 80 plus 55 plus 34 plus 40 plus 40 plus 35 plus 43. Okay, I got 434 as my sum. Divide that by 10, I get 43.4. And I have to round that off to the nearest whole number if I'm going to do the standard deviation, which is 43. Okay, 38, 43, 26, 80, 55, 34, 40, 30, 35, and 43. Okay, and so my average is 43. So you subtract 43 from every number. Okay, 38 minus 43 is negative 5. And 43 minus 43, of course, is 0. 26 minus 43 is negative 17. 80 minus 43 is 37. 55 minus 43 is 12. 34 minus 43 is negative 9. 40 minus 43 is negative 3. 30 minus 43 is negative 13. And 35 minus 43 is negative 8. 43 minus 43 is 0. Okay, and then you square those numbers. Okay, so hold on just a second. I was going to get a excuse my dog. She barks. All right, you have negative 5 0, negative 17, 37, 12, negative 9, negative 3, negative 13, negative 8, and 0. Okay, so you have negative 5. That's not a good pen to write with. Negative 5. 0, negative 17, 37, 12, negative 9, negative 3, negative 13, negative 8, and you square those, you get 25. 0, and square negative 17, 289, and square 37, 1369, square 12, 144, square negative 9 is 81, square negative 3 you get 9, square negative 13 is positive 169, and square negative 8 you get 64. Now the important thing to remember when you do this, the negative goes away. Do not put the negative in there. When you square a negative, the negative is gone. Okay, if you put the negative in there, it's going to be wrong. So do not, when you square a negative times a negative is a positive. Add this up. Okay, 2150. 2150 is the answer, divided by 369, divided by 8, because there's always one less, divided by 8, and you get 268.75, and you find the square root of 268.75. Okay, 16.39. Okay, so I think that's going to be all we're going to do for today. Okay, I hope y'all learned something from this, and if you have any questions, please let me know. You could fast forward. I mean, you could rewind this, stop it, go back and watch it over and over. So that's a convenience of doing a video. Okay, so I'll stop this recording. If you have any questions, let me know.